you and the project you're working on and the lessons we can all learn from the UTTZ project.
Thank you so much, moderator. Let me go straight to my presentation. Maybe just in a minute, let me introduce to you what we are, or rather who we are. Eswatini Epilepsy Organization was formed in 2004, and it was legally incorporated in 2010 into the laws of the country. It's a registered NGO recognized by the Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of Health has given us the sole mandate of addressing the many challenges of people living with epilepsy in the country. Our main achievement has been that ever since the organization was initiated, we never knew of people taking anti-epilepsy medicine, but as we speak now, there are about 25,000 people in the country on epilepsy treatment, which of course is an evidence of success in awareness and advocacy and fighting against stigma and discrimination. The best practice that we want to share with you is that we formed a coalition of strategic partners in the country with an objective of having a comprehensive system for epilepsy advocacy, so that we can increase, the knowledge economy, increase, the information and knowledge about epilepsy, so that there can be reduction in stigma, misconceptions, and ill treatment among people living with epilepsy. And also to address the internal and external power gaps for an increased impact. Now, I will present our best practice in a graphical form. It was a 4-step process. The first step was to establish strategic direction. We needed to have a strategic direction. Second step was to identify and engage partners. The third step was to determine the sets of information and the mediums of dissemination, or of disseminating the information. And the fourth one was coordinating, implementing, as well as monitoring the implementation process. Now, let me just take you through each of these steps briefly. The first step, in terms of establishing advocacy strategic direction, we had to locate the project as soon as it was started and received in the country. We had to locate the project in the organizational strategy so that it is not left hanging out there and we are doing some other work, and we also have this advocacy initiative out there. So we had to locate it within our strategic plan, and we found a home for it under the key strategic focus area, which was advocacy and awareness, and because we found it to be fitting very well there. And also we had to look at how does it relate with the other 5 strategic focus areas, because there are 5 of them, which include impact mitigation, resource mobilization, capacity building, and infrastructure development, as well as M&E. After doing that, we had to align it then. We had to align ourselves, align the activities that we'll be doing with WHA 6820, the national priorities, as well as the global goals, which we are all well acquainted with. And then we had to set advocacy goals and objectives. Now, the second step, which is the identification and engagement of partners. We identified the following partners as key strategic partners in the process. It was policymakers, it was civil society organizations, as I've listed them on the other side. Like when we talk of Congo, it is the Coordinating Assembly for Non-Governmental Organizations, World Vision's Federation of Disabled in Eswatini, as well as ministries, especially the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education under the Schools Health Program, and the legislators, some MPs, senators, the World Health Organization, opinion leaders, which include pastors or religious leaders, so to say, and popular musicians. The academia, we identify the University of Eswatini and other, universities or colleges, and law enforcement agencies, as well as the Social Welfare Department in the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister. Together with these, we formed a coalition and we made a way on how can we deliver together so that each one of us knows what to do and how do we coordinate everything so that it rolls out very well. The third step was to determine the information sets and ways of disseminating the information. We had IEC material in different forms. We also created some video clips on the resolution and unpacking it. And it was, it was played live on TVs, radios by influential people, the ones we've talked about. And there were also some radio jingles using traditional songs so that people that are traditional, as we know that we are a cultural nation to some extent, so that they can also associate themselves with epilepsy. Also, most importantly, is that we have some events, yellow epilepsy events, a number of them, which I will be listing after this slide, I believe. And during those events, there were many activities that were taking place, like some inscription messages or inscripted on the IEC, sector engagements, people talking about their roles in their specific sectors. For instance, those who are in the health sector, they could talk something about epilepsy. Those who are in hospitals or clinics, they could share their experiences on how what do they see really with people living with epilepsy. And also some negative impact on economy, the social sector, and so forth and so forth. Most importantly, it was the engagement of the people living with epilepsy themselves in the discussions. What I'm going to share with you now, because this could be long, but I just picked some pictures from our activities, how we're disseminating the information, who was there and what he was doing during the information dissemination. What we see here, one of our events is what we call the Yellow Epilepsy Valentine's Dinner, which is held on the weekend of the Yellow Epilepsy Week. We start the Yellow Epilepsy Week on the International Epilepsy Day, and we end it on the weekend, and we have a number of activities in between. So this is one of them. As you can see here on the slide, you can see the wife to His Excellency, the Prime Minister, Magephosha Dlamini. She was being interviewed by Eswatini TV in front of the board that we created, raising awareness about the resolution. And what we see on the right are two kids who have become our ambassadors. One of them is living with epilepsy, so she has become an ambassador for other children in schools and other young people in the communities. What you see here, again, we see the Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs and his spouse. They became part of us, shared their views about how youth can be involved and so forth. And below is the Director of Health Services, Dr. Makakula, who was also involved. Yeah, during the International Epilepsy Day, what is important with us is that we broadcast our activities live, because as you remember, we said the media is also part of the coalition. So Eswatini TV is one of our partners. You can see here, Dr. Makatsange, who is the World Health Organization on the left, is being recorded live, and the interviewer on the other side is seen on the screen. And this is broadcasters in Swaziland, South Africa, and Lesotho at the very same time. We also have marathon, epilepsy half marathon. We also have these video clips I talked about. The person we see on the left is a senator who is also a chief, a traditional leader. He was, conveying some messages. We also see Dr. Makatsang at the bottom, and also a popular musician and an awarded musician in the country and beyond, you know, was also speaking about epilepsy, what it can do to people. Why should people go to for treatment? Why governments should ensure that, you know, they take care of the needs of people with epilepsy. We also engage the private sector. What we see here is one company, a very big company in the country, Select Management Services. During one of the days, Epilepsy Week days, they painted their red into yellow. So we termed it red is meeting yellow. And they have a command of many clients, some of them who have epilepsy. So we joined hands with them so that we can raise awareness together in one of those days. And also we have partnerships with colleges, university, and educational, the academia, so to say. What we see here are university students with a Rotary Club. We are working together. Here we're in one of, which is an a child with epilepsy. And we cleaned everything in the house, raising awareness to the whole community. As you can see, they are wearing Africa Epilepsy t-shirts, everybody there. And you can see the executive director, he's planting a garden for this family. And also the principal secretary, some of you will call them permanent secretaries. He's working with him because the Ministry of Labor is also working with us in this. He's actually also a Rotarian. So they are cleaning, doing everything together with us. We also go out to the communities to contribute food parcels. As we can see here, at least 100 people here were receiving, and more than half of them are living with epilepsy in the community of Nkanzangu. And that's how we reach also to remote communities to raise awareness. And the person we see on the left is the CEO of Eswatini TV, who was a representative of the patron, His Royal Highness Prince Banzile, on the day. Now, my one but last slide, I have to mention that we are in the process of developing the National Plan of Action. Already we have started, a core team of 8 members has been appointed and has held 3 planning meetings. A lead consultant has also been assigned with 3 months left to finish so that we can take it forward with the Ministry of Health. And also, this is part of the phase 2 of Utetezi project, which is under the coalition grant that we have just been rewarded. And on the last question on the National Epilepsy Coordination Framework, as part of also the phase 3 of the project, of Utetezi project, we are formulating a National Epilepsy Coordination Framework, which at the top has a National Epilepsy Steering Committee formed of key people in the country, like legislators, you know, the executive commissioners in the discipline forces in the country, civil society organizations, media, and so forth. And then the second layer is formed of National Epilepsy Support Groups Associations, because we are forming support groups at grassroots level, and they will be picking some members to represent them in the support group association of the country, so that whatever we do, we don't do it as an organization, but we do it together with the people themselves, because it's formed of people living with epilepsy and related disabilities, as well as those who are the caregivers and volunteers. And at the very bottom are the volunteers, anybody with a skill who wants to contribute something to epilepsy in the country. We've opened that one, we're working on it. People are bringing their skills, different skills, some who are builders, who are in construction, so that whenever somebody who lives with epilepsy does not have a house, we can use those skills, and we find ourselves cutting the cost. I thank you.